Relative to whether or not we should go after the energy that we know is contained in ANWR up in Alaska or in the Outer Continental Shelf, excuse me, the gentleman mentioned that, well, even if we passed it now, we wouldn't get it for 10 years or some, that's what he said, but we don't know the exact number of years, but it would be a number of years down the road till we actually got it. This legislation has been before this Congress for over the last 10 years, and unfortunately the Congress has decided to keep that off limits. So had we voted this way, Bill Clinton vetoed legislation when I went to his desk some years ago that would have included ANWR. So had we done it back then, we'd have the access to that oil now, so that would be reflected in the amount that we have available to us here, and would be reflected in the energy costs that we're paying and the gas that we're paying at the gas pumps. And also, I would note that even if since we didn't take that action back then, and I argue we should have, even if we did take the action now, much of the price reflected at the gas pumps that's killing consumers in this country right now is speculative in nature. So if we pass this now, I think you would see that reflected very quickly, even though we wouldn't necessarily get the oil till now, because what happens out there is people are betting on what it's going to be down the road, and right now people think it's going to be higher and higher. And if we continue to put large amounts of our oil that we know about off limits, ANWR, Outer Continental Shelf, it's going to continue to go up. And there are other things that we need to do as well, like make it possible to build oil refineries once again in this country. We've made that virtually impossible. The last one we built is back in '76. We had over 300 oil refineries in this country at that time. Now we have fewer than half that. We have 148. So even if we have enough crude, we can't refine it quickly enough. These boutique fuels that have to be dealt with makes it that much more difficult to solve this problem. And I am very much for what many of my colleagues on the other side of the aisle would also be for, and that's alternative sources of energy, whether it's wind, solar, biomass, all those hydrogen fuel cells. We do need to put money into those technological advances somewhere down the road, but until those occur, the fact is we in this country, as other countries around the world, we're very dependent upon gas and diesel and the rest, and unless we do something about it, we're going to have some real problems. And that, I think, is reflected in the weakness of the economy to some degree. And whether we're in a recession, and we argue about that all the time, whether we're in a recession or not, apparently 81% of the American people, according to some poll I saw recently, think we are in one. And of course, it depends on the definition. The definition that's accepted is 2 quarters of negative economic growth, and one just came out indicating that it was low growth, but it wasn't negative. So apparently, by definition, we're not in a recession. But whether we are, or whether we're not, it is tough times out there for a lot of people. And one thing that we could do to help would be at the gas pump, and that's why I'm so supportive of going after what we ought to have gone after a long time ago, and that's ANWR and the Outer Continental Shelf. Does anybody want to comment? You don't have to. Okay, thank you very much, and I yield back.